Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Zach and I are doing a discussion over Beast, one of the newest hidden movement games that came out last year, I think, 2023, I think is when this game came out. So here's the thing about this game, is it was 2023. I had originally backed this game, because hidden movement is a genre that I really like. Yeah. But I find it kind of difficult to execute because of the staples of that are like, hey, these are the really good ones. How are you going to differentiate yourself? That makes me want to play your hidden movement game over, those other ones. Right. So I got this game in. I got like all the Kickstarter stuff. This was before they went out for their expansions. And I was like, you know what? I don't really want to play this. So I ended up selling it. And then they went on Kickstarter again, and I was kind of like looking at it because I get advertised a bunch for late pledges. And I'm like, all right, let me just take a look at it again because I really like the theme. Like, I think the theme is really cool of one big, monstrous European folklore beast. Mm-hmm. It gives me a sense of, and I was hoping you had at least heard of the video game, but it gives me the sense of that shitty video game that I cannot remember, where it's 4 hunters chasing after a beast that has to level up as they go. It's kind of similar to that. So the theme was something I was really interested in, and I wanted to play through, and I'm like, okay, saw someone selling it, and I bought it. And for me, I gotta say, they do a lot of really different things here. Yeah. Like, I actually think this is a hidden movement game that I'll end up keeping, because I do like a lot that it has to offer. So before we get into that, what do you think? What do you think of Beast?
I'm torn on it because I like aspects of it, and I dislike other aspects of this game.
Okay. So let's start with the negatives. Let's start with the overall negatives of the game. Because, this game is not perfect by any means, but I don't really think any hidden movement game is.
Right. So some of it is probably wording is poor in a lot of aspects, where they use words that have a traditional meaning, but then when you look at the rulescape, so they use nearby to mean orthogonal plus your location plus yourself. Yeah. So it's like nearby hunters get this. Well, when we read it, we understood what nearby meant. We assumed you're helping an ally. Mm-hmm. Well, you are, but you also, it's always affecting you, but it's also helping your ally. Yeah. And that might have changed a few things for us, because we would have had some bonuses that realistically one of us took versus the other player.
Because nearby is like, adjacent locations, but then it explains, like, oh, hey, nearby means adjacent locations, but then you look at it again, it's like, no, it also means yourself. It's like, well, that kind of comes down to when you're playing cooperative games and it says helping allies, are you an ally to yourself? Right. No. Right. In that context, but almost always it does apply to you as well. So I do agree, because nearby locations, like, make sense thematically in the context of the game. Right. But mechanically it is a little odd.
Right, and you can change the wording to something like within one space of you, because they use space on a lot of other things too. Yeah. So just let's keep it consistent. Say all hunters within one space get X. Yeah. It's not adding that many words. In addition, it clarifies a lot of problems with it.
Because I will say one thing that they do is they try to minimalize the text. The text, for the most part, is very clear cut. Right. Rage, all this card does is attack. I know what attack means. It does 1 damage. If I'm the hunter, or if I'm the this is the beastly talent, so if I'm the beast using it, then I reveal myself and I deal 1 damage to whatever's there. Right. Unless I have a thing that does more. Yeah. For a lot of kind of, especially recent hidden movement games, that just kind of like muddy it up with just like a bunch of rules. That's like, okay, you're doing away with the simplicity, and now I don't really want to learn and play your game over and over. This one was very streamlined, but maybe to sometimes its detriment.
Yeah, and again, if it was created by, because we've seen this with other games that come out of like Eastern Europe, where they translate into English, there is a translational issue that comes from it. We've seen that before in other games. So to me, again, you can get around it, but you have to be aware of that.
Yeah, it's one of those that after you play like a couple times, you're going to know exactly that, okay, here, when the card says nearby, that means yourself as well as adjacent areas.
Right.
Or if it says nearby hunter, that means yourself and adjacent areas to you.
Right. Other annoyances in this, I mean, people might think this is minor, but the fact that we are taking damage. There's lots of things that can take damage. But you basically have no damage counters in this game.
No, yeah.
You have 6 1s, and then they immediately go to 3s, which I get, but this can play up to 4 players. So the very fact that you can't even have 8 1s, because that's where theoretically you could all be at 2 before the first person hits 3, you don't have enough for that. Let alone that everything on the board can also take damage.
Yeah, except for the sheep. The sheep are the only things that die in one hit. Well, and the basilisk, and like the summons.
In the summons.
But yeah, like boars take 2, bears take 2,
Right.
and the settlers take 2 or 3 on top of the hunters. On top of the beast itself. It goes up to 5.
So to me, there's those. That's an issue. It's a hidden movement game that has multiple win cons in it, which I do like. And maybe in this game we just have focus of trying to kill the beast versus trying to do other things with it.
Yeah. Yeah, because in every other hidden movement game, it's one objective per.
Right.
It's Letters from Whitechapel, Jack has to get home all 4 nights.
Right.
4 nights, yeah.
Yeah.
Fury of Dracula, he just has to stall out for 13 weeks. Or get his whatever
He has to basically
influence.
get the influence high enough to cause enough fear.
Yep. And then Spectre Ops, I think it has like you have to get in and get out.
Right.
But this is like one of the few that are like, oh, the hunters can win by. I mean, it depends on the contract. I think they're all the same. Yeah, all the. Well, sorry. 3 out of 4 of the contracts, which are just depend on players, are hunters win if they last 3 nights.
Right.
The only other one for 2 to 3 players is Shipwreck, which is in the final night the beast actually wins.
Die.
But yeah, it's either kill the beast for the hunters or survive the night for the most part, and the beast has to
do different things.
Yeah, depending on what the contract is. Like the Northern Settlements in a 4-player game is the beast wins when 3 settlers are dead.
Right.
Northern Gods is the beast wins with 4 settlers are dead. And I think the contract thing is cool. I think that's a really neat aspect to just kind of be like, oh, okay, each night if you complete an objective, you complete the contract and you get a benefit for that.
Right.
Both players have it. I think that's very neat. And obviously, this being basically the base game, you are very, very limited on player count. If you have a player count of 4, then you have 2 contracts to choose from. And in a 2 or 3 player game, you have 2 contracts to choose from.
Right.
So more expansions, adding more contracts would just add more variety, because they also determine what map you're playing on. Which, like this, the Drenched Lands is broken up into 2 zones, and then the other zone is broken up into, I can't remember off the top of my head, 4. Yeah, there's 4 zones, but there's a bunch more settlers, more villagers to go after, and so on and so forth. You want to go into my biggest negative?
Yeah.
It's the movement.
So I wasn't going to say that because it's really from your side of it, but yeah, the movement's bad.
The movement's... I wouldn't go so far and say it's bad, it's janky. But for a hidden movement game, I guess it needs to be more clear-cut.
It's bad in the sense that the ability to track what you've done is very difficult.
Yeah.
And there's too much opportunity for it to get mixed up, to not be able to follow a trail. Because here's the thing. Here's the problem with all hand movement games. You have to trust the person who's doing the hand movement is doing it correctly.
Yeah. And I've played games of Fury of Dracula where I forgot to put the water card down.
Right.
And because you have to take a damage as well when you go over water. And it throws the game.
Or you caught yourself when I went to a spot and you didn't put a second marker, and then you looked at the card quickly and realized, well, yeah, I need to put another marker.
Or actually, no, I didn't go there.
Right.
Whoops. Because all movement is done in, the compass spaces, north, south, east, and west, and you just keep an active movement trail. So if I move 2 spaces and I want to move south and south, I put 2 south cards down.
Right.
And there's enough cards in here that you're not really ever going to be like, oh, I'm out of south cards.
Right.
So at least I enjoy that.
Right.
But you should have just done numbers.
Yeah.
You could have kept the terrain, just make it to where every section has a small number next to it.
Yes, and you just write it down, and you trace it.
Because what Hunt for the Ring does... Have you played Hunt for the Ring?
I haven't,
Okay,
yet.
So we really need to try that, because that's another great hidden movement game. So Letters from Whitechapel, I think, and a bunch of other ones give you a sheet to write on. Hunt for the Ring has, like, a hollowed-out section, and you just fold a piece of paper and slide it in.
Yep.
It's like, get your own paper.
Friday does the same thing.
Okay, yeah. It's like, look, you have paper.
Yeah.
Just slide it into the slot and write on it.
Right.
And it's not like... I've never been like, how cheap? It's like, okay. Because, yeah, you're right. Like, if I was able to be like, okay, I went to 22, then 19, then 76, then 34, and then you move down, and then it's like, okay, yes, I have been to 76. Boom.
Right.
I've been to 76 twice, because I can see I wrote down 76 twice.
Right.
And here, it's like, you kind of, as the beast, have to always be looking at your last known location, and then your running deck of cards. And half the time, what I would do is because there's the mini map that the beast can use. Half the time, like, I think one time whenever you went back into the village and you were like, have you been there? And I was like, no. And then I was like, well, and then I think you moved back. And I was like, well, no, I'm not there either. And I looked over, then I had to look at my card. I was like, oh, no, it says east. Yes, I did actually go there.
Right.
Or the antithesis of that is that I think it was like at the beginning where I basically went north and then went around this way.
Right.
Which you caught on pretty quickly, but you went like here or here, and then I put a token down. I was like, oh shit, no, I didn't go that way. Right. I went straight north and banked around that one specific spot, but I put a token there, and then I have to be like, sorry, no, I didn't go there, which gave you all the information where it's like, okay. Right. But it'd be dishonest to just leave it there.
Right.
It's like, well, no, I didn't go that way.
The other, I call it biggest negative for me is, again, not enough components. The action card deck isn't large enough. We saw the same cards every single round, practically.
Yeah.
Which, to a certain extent, isn't bad, but at the same time, it's like, but these are the same cards. There's lots of double movement cards. There's lots of, well, if you find this, do this. And while it is interesting drafting, a lot of the times you still are drafting just the same cards over and over again to your hand-ish. Like there's most of the times I had at least 2, if not 3 of the same cards I've had the entire game. Yeah,
that's not necessarily a negative for me because I think this game kind of comes down to, like what you loved about Whitechapel, is it comes down to more about how the beast is leveling up and how they're going to be maneuvering and going after their contract versus what the hunters are out. So if you have a fat stack of action cards where every time you're it's like there's no way to be like, well, shit, what did he draft? I guess you're drafting, so it doesn't really matter.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because you're drafting, it's fine.
Yeah, just have a big deck of action cards because then it would be like...
There's more... Because again, like, you hate the fact that I got the prowl and then I bought it back for health.
Right.
Because then I could basically just constantly move around trying to
figure
out where you
I
were.
love that because that meant you were at 2 health and I just had to hit you once.
Well.
But yes, it's...
But again, having more different variety in cards, because at some point it's just kind of like, well, these are all the same-ish, like we're only seeing the same cards. There's no variety in it.
Yeah, it's not really a positive or a negative for me, because, yeah, it does kind of come down to, there are still some cards being left out. It would be really bad if it was always like you ran out of action cards.
Right.
Because there's kind of some. Have you ever played Inish?
Yeah.
Okay, so Inish has that where it's like you draft through the act, but you pull one out,
Right.
but you don't know what it is.
Right.
Love Letter does that as well.
Yep.
So they do something similar to that, where it's like some action cards are removed, so you don't know entirely. Okay, which card did you keep? Which card did that person keep?
Right.
In a 4-player game, it's something different, where you set aside one card for the Beast player, then everyone gets 3.
Yeah.
So he gets 1 secret card. But because to counter kind of your point, if it was a fat stack of action cards, yes, you are drafting. Let's say there were 50. I don't know.
Sure.
50 action cards. We still do the same 4. They're unique, and it's like, okay, cool. But then you get one that lets you look through the entire deck and pull one. It's
Sure.
like, okay, well, what the fuck? You know, there's
Right.
30 cards there you get to pick. Like, we can't, like, at least in, like, playing this game a ton, when you go through the unused, it's like, well, I don't have this, and I haven't played it, so maybe this is what he grabbed.
Right.
I think I do, because I love variety as well. I would like more action cards, but not like a whole bunch more. Maybe like 10 more action cards. Because also at the end of the day, this game is not that long.
No. Wasn't too bad.
Which I actually enjoy, because one thing of Fury of Dracula, even though while I love the cat and mouse chase, it's always 3-4 hours.
Yeah, most of mine I think take 2.5-ish hours.
It's like, I mean, and that's if like I don't think I've ever had it be under 3 hours. And that game has a lot of, well, we got him. No, we don't. Well, we got him. No, we don't. Which, I mean, can be really dynamic if you get into it. What's great about this game is it's a lot of like, yeah, I'm moving, but now I'm revealed because I need to attack.
Right.
You guys are able to go in and find me or find my trail pretty quickly. And then that kind of leads to a good chase.
Right.
Like, for me, whenever it came down to the final night, or the second night, I was like, they know exactly where I'm at. How the hell am I going to get out of this? And then I realized, oh, I get to start the next night.
Right.
Hopefully I get a bunch of attack cards, and that goes well. And man, whenever I move to attack you, and then you flip that trap, I was like, oh, it's going to completely destroy my whole plan. And it could have.
Yeah.
It could have been a better trap that allowed you to like move out of the way. And it's like, oh no. And that's why I really like this one. It's not overly long. It has that prey-predator kind of feeling that Fury of Dracula has. Because Fury of Dracula is like, okay, daytime, it's all the investigator's turn.
Right.
The nighttime, it's like, haha, now it's my turn. And I like that.
Yeah.
Here, it's like, okay, as the beast, you know what? I killed some of these sheep. I killed a bear. That's like 8 grudge tokens coming my way. I'm gonna be an attack that deals 2 damage now. Whenever I kill,
Right.
Whenever now I can petrify. So this part of the game I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Of leveling up the beast and even leveling up the hunters.
Yeah, we didn't get to level up very often because, like they say, and this is one of those things where it is interesting. If you want to go level up, you have a lot of opportunity to go level up because basically a lot of things give you grudge.
Yeah.
For us, I want to say there was 1, maybe 2 cards that gave us 1, and then we had to complete the contract for 1 more.
Right.
But when a lot of your abilities are significantly more expensive, it's pretty hard to get much grudge for us.
Well, also you gotta think about it. If I want to go out and get grudge, I'm revealed the entire time.
Right, but so like, because Brett and I were, halfway almost tempted to go all the way over here while you went this way. You could have killed as many sheep as you liked at that point.
That is true.
And realistically, if I hadn't chased you over onto that side, I would have assumed that's what you would do.
Yeah, no, my initial thing was to beeline it for the, was actually kill the boar that I did end up killing.
Right.
Because I was like, it's 2 sheep or a boar, I'm going to get the same amount of grudge anyway. But at the same time, that basically means I wouldn't be able to do that, because that would mean I'd have to have a shit ton of attack and a shit ton of move cards, and I'm just not going to have that much. It's either a little bit of movement and a little bit of attacking, or a lot of attacking, no movement. So, like, the beast, at least Raga specifically, the way I played and built, wasn't allowing me to do that.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about Raga that's really cool is they were huge on transforming.
Yeah.
They wanted this entire map to be that for those flower locations, and then I would have been popping off. But I just never did that.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That gives some replayability of the different beasts, because there's 5, 6 in the I guess in the first Kickstarter. There's Raga, which is a snake hogbad, which is a giant boar. Mara, I think it's a vampire.
Okay.
Fenrir, there is no way that is not a play either on Fenrir
Yeah.
or looks like the wolf from Dark Souls 1. Esmeria, no idea what that is. And then Bolgan. That all have different summons, different abilities, and different, the beastly talents are unanimous, but different starting cards.
Right.
So it seems like they all have one. God, that scared me. They have one major, like every single beast has the same ability, which is making their attacks deal 2 damage.
Got it.
All of them have that. But Raga has 5 health, Bolgan has 5 health, Esmira has 4, Fenrir has 4, Mara has 4, and Hogbad has 5.
Got it.
So tons of variety there, and then you have 2, 4, 6.
Yeah.
6 characters to choose from that, again, each of them have their own unique ability cards.
Well, so what it is there's actually, you only get one unique. Everyone
really?
has the same 2.
Oh, the hunt and track.
Are all the same.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm seeing it, because it's up at the top. Scout, Cleaver, Trapmaster.
Which I find a little interesting that you consider you have these ability cards that are all, set to yourself, that they're not all 3 unique, when, you have 4 unique cards to yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that is true. I wonder if that's something they're addressing in
Yeah.
the expansion. I don't know what the expansion is bringing
Right.
specifically. But yeah, this one just kind of feels a little bit more aggressive on both ends, just for
Yeah.
the sheer nature of, very limited on time. The fact that to even attack, I have to reveal myself, which is huge. And you guys find the trail pretty easily, which is neat, because
Yeah.
I know in many, many games of Whitechapel and Fury of Dracula, if you just cannot get a clue, it's why are we even playing? Because Letters from Whitechapel, you have to figure out clues and hopefully get enough of them that lead you, okay, here's the direction he took, so his hideout's probably somewhere up here. Man, if you just don't get those, then it's okay, no idea where he's at. Here I felt like you guys were okay, so here's what he did. He's right here. He's over here. Okay, I'm going to go and reveal an attack. And it's yep, I'm there.
Right.
Because in this particular game, I had 3 damage. Just one of your turns. It's okay, I guess I'm probably dying. If I didn't knock you and Brett out, when you got, you probably would have damaged me at least once.
Yeah.
And then Brett would have came in, and I just have to sit here and take the damage.
Right.
And there's no way to heal that I can see.
There's no healing that I know of.
Yeah, which would be shitty. That would be really annoying if it's oh, hey, a beastly talent, heal 1 damage. It's
Right.
that took forever to deal 1 to you.
Right.
And maybe that's why they kept the action cards smaller, because there are the talents you can get that are unique. There are items that you guys can get that are unique.
Yeah.
That allow you to be a little bit different, whereas the action cards are going to be a little bit more of your staples. So yeah, overall, I think the theme is done really well.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see. There are a ton of beasts, so
Right.
just straight out the gate, 6 I think is a good number. I'd like to see more contracts, more maps. The stupid movement deck like, I get where they were coming from, and for the most part, I'm revealed, so it does get wiped, but, like, because nothing in the rules or on the board state from night to night, you remove those. Like, I don't start each day fresh in a new location.
Right.
If I have, like, 4 movement out, and then it's like, oh, my turn to start, oh, I'm going to play Slither, that lets me move 2 spots, and I'm going to play...
Especially if you, like, or the last to pass, because then not only do you pass last, but you also then move, because you have more cards than we do.
Yeah. I think my cards are a lot more restrictive, though, with terrain and stuff.
Right, but what I'm saying is...
Because
if you have more cards, you have the opportunity not to basically pass last every single time, which means you also start, which means in essence you get 2 turns between the hunters.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm saying with extra cards. That's the advantage of extra cards.
Yeah, okay. No, yeah, I see what you're saying. I was thinking it was like more. It's like, yeah, inherently you might get more turns, but I don't think so because I only get to play 2 cards and you guys get to play 4. Like when
not.
But you're talking about just turn order is like it could end with the beast and then it's like okay,
and then you start with the beast again.
Yeah. So then you just have a running track of action cards, and then it's like, and mini maps are always kind of annoying because it's like I hate doing the am I moving? It's like it seems like no matter, and maybe it's not to you guys. But like if I like move my hand like this, do you know where I moved it? Like could you?
I assume you move it that way or north.
Okay, so I moved it south.
Okay.
So it's like, but it always feels like it's so obvious, like I'm going.
Which is why a paper with numbers is easier because you write every single time and it doesn't matter because you wrote something, so nobody can tell what you wrote.
That's true. And it's just easier for clarity because I think what they were trying to do is they took a few ideas from other head movement games. They have the movement track, which in Fury of Dracula you have the location track, and that works because eventually that's how you seed events and vampires. You can seed events.
You never can never backtrack.
Yep.
So. Again, because you can never backtrack, it's very easy to see the path when the cards are out there.
Yeah.
They make us, even if they got shuffled together, to a certain extent, they kind of make an order, like even when you put them all out.
That is true.
Yeah, you couldn't do that card to that card to that card. There's just no way.
Yeah. Because I think there's only 6 spots. I'd have to look at it again.
I think it's 7.
Okay.
It's 7 before it falls off.
But yeah, you want it to fall off. That's you have to keep moving because then it's like, oh, this fell off. Now it's a matured vampire.
Right.
Aha! That's 4 influence. And here there's no falling off, which you think I think there should be, because it's like thematically, if you're trying to track something, the one that's the 7th one is, or the first one, that's going to be the oldest trail. It's like, oh, this trail's too old. We can't follow this, but. It doesn't have that. It says 7+, so theoretically, if they just never catch on and I never attack, and but I don't win if I don't attack. So as soon as you reveal,
except for the one that
for the one where you're supposed to survive,
right?
Yeah, the one where, the beast wins when 2 settlers are dead or when the final night is reached. So yeah, you can just keep hiding and hiding and hiding.
And realistically, honestly, if you really wanted to hide. I don't know that we could find you.
Well, that's why one of the best things about this game, I do think, is the card drafting.
Yeah.
Even though you don't like how it's a thin action deck, just the sheer amount of the fact that you get to see exactly what you're handing over to the beast player, I think is real, or what I'm handing over to you guys. It's like if that's the case, it's like, oh, what's the contract? Oh, he has to survive. Okay, well, let's never intentionally give him movement cards. You can't fully keep it from the player, but at least it's like, okay, all I have are attack cards, so I guess the limited movement I have will be to try to kill settlers.
Kind of, because I can only keep 1 card every single time from you. I can't keep all of them.
That's true, but if because not every card has movement, so if you have 1 movement card that lets me move, you keep that one. And then if it goes to Brett or whoever's playing, then it's like, okay, hey, I got a couple movement which one should we keep? And what's really cool about this one that they actually mentioned in the rule book is they're like, have the hunters sit by each other so they can show
so they're
cards.
cooperative.
Yeah.
They truly are fully
Instead of
cooperative.
being like, nope, you guys have to fully talk and everything is open knowledge to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this game is it is a little wonky. It's a little rough around the edges. The movement cards are absolutely my least favorite part, just for clarity. But it worked still.
Yeah.
Like, at least it wasn't like, how have you been here? I have no idea. Like,
Right.
I was like, yep, that's exactly what I did. You were able to still follow the path. So, it's serviceable.
Right.
It could have been done better. So, other than that, no real glaring negatives. I think the art is fantastic. At least for the beasts. Like, I really like the design
Yeah.
for them. The characters kind of look like
They're all the same, right? They're very similar.
their faces.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Except for this guy. Yeah, it's like they did really good detail, I think, for the clothes, but then their faces kind of... You know what they look like? It looks like a Ryan Lockett. I was trying to figure out who the artist that looks like Ryan Lockett faces, where it's like, I don't know. It's like, you've seen a person, right? Totally.
Right.
Shit, what do they look like?
Right.
So, yeah, like, I think this kind of is a pretty unique hidden movement game.
Yep.
So, yeah. Did you have any other negatives?
Nope.
No? Any other positives?
Nope.
You're like, oh, absolutely not. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give Beast?
7.
That's where I'm at too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm at 7 as well. Funny enough, I don't know why either. Like 7 just feels like this is a good game.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'd have to go back and replay Fury and some of those other hidden movement games, because right now they're just fond memories at this point because it's been so long. So it's like, what is key? Because right now those are like 8s and 9s.
So some of what, for me, in hidden movement games that I'm really looking for is this feeling of tension. And I don't feel tense in this game.
Yeah.
I don't feel like... So, I know you do Whitechapel, I did Whitehall. And Whitehall is very... Like, I've never played a game where both sides, after I asked them both sides, everybody felt like they were always right there at catching the person.
Okay.
Jack always feels the cops are right on his tail, and the cops always feel like he's just that one step ahead. And that's... And, like, so for my problem with, like, Fury is, it is a long game. My problem really isn't the length of the game. The first half, no one feels tension.
Yeah.
The hunters are all building up their stuff. Dracula is just seeding the locations to basically try to mature some things.
Yeah.
And it's the second half then that everybody is a little more tense. Oh, you almost killed a hunter. But Dracula took 2 damage. Is Dracula going to be able to get away?
Yeah.
Cornered him. That's the tension. That's where it feels fun. The first half of the game is... Honestly, I could figure out how to just place out 7 cards and give them the supplies that they should have and put Dracula in the middle of the map and them in their original spots and play the game.
Right.
That's where, like, to me, Fury of Dracula somebody could come and revamp it and make it into an hour-long game, because the first half is just a supply side. And then it becomes actual hunting down.
That's true.
This one... Even when I was tracking you, I had an idea of where you were, but you complained not having enough movement. I didn't feel like I had enough movement to track you down well. And so, like, you would move 2 spaces, and the best I could do is move 2 spaces. Well, I was already 3 spaces behind you, so I didn't gain anything.
Right.
So it wasn't like, again, you always had a lot of movement, and I had enough movement, but they were almost even movement. And because I can only search places that I've literally been on, where like Whitehall and Whitechapel say you can scan the spaces that get close to you, so you can figure out the path going forward.
Oh yeah, because you can. Yeah, you go until you find a clue.
Right.
Yeah.
So here it's more like, well, if I have a card that says I get extra movement if you've been there, well, I got 1 movement. But you played 2 movement cards.
Right.
Now I'm even farther behind you.
Yeah.
And so that's where, like, yes, my character had lots of attack. But if I couldn't find where you were or you didn't pop up, it really didn't matter. The times I hit you is basically when you popped up.
Right, yeah, which, I mean, I think is part of the design, because I have to pop up to do that, but, yeah.
I'm fine with that, but again, for him, movement game, the hunters should either have more movement than the enemy because they need to catch up because, again, you have perfect knowledge of where we're at, so you can try to avoid us, but if we don't have enough movement to actually go all the way around, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're just trailing.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult balance, because if you had a bunch of movement as well as all your attacks, then what advantage do I have besides being hidden? But I have to reveal. So if I was like,
right.
oh, I need to attack this guy to win, I reveal. Oh,
but I agree.
Okay,
so
I guess I'm dead.
That's my thing with hidden movement games of
Right.
why when you add more complexity, like even Fury of Dracula, when you add more complexity to it, it takes away from the cat and mouse side of it. Where like the Jack ones, you just have to find Jack. Once you find him, there's no fighting, there's no combat.
Yeah.
You have to find him. And so the whole thing is a cat and mouse game.
Or prevent him from, if you can nail down his location,
Right.
you just, surround it, then he can't get there. And you
Right, if you can make
way.
him run out of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, to me, it's still one of the things where it's all cat and mouse. Mm-hmm. And that's what I probably really want from a hand movement game, is a cat and mouse.
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
Because here it was more, I just positioned, so I thought you went this way in the first one, so I went through the middle side of it. I didn't even try to go from where you started. I just went east.
Yeah.
And figured eventually I'm going to hit into somewhere.
Yeah, because, that's where the contracts come in. It's like, okay, what's his goal to get a benefit?
Right.
It's like, oh, in the shipwreck one, he needs to kill, 2 sheep or a boar to get an ancient power and do a summon thing.
Right.
Okay, well, that's probably what he's going to go do. There were a lot of stuff where it was like, okay, like the commander moving the villagers away, moving hunters into. So that's where I kind of like this. Because in regular Letters from Whitechapel, no one has special abilities or anything like that. Everyone's playing the same game. Here, you have your specialty. The commander has their specialty, and so on and so forth. So that gives some differences.
And again, I think even in cat and mouse games, you could have special abilities between players that either this guy allows you to get more movement. This guy does better searches. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's unique. You can have that.
Right.
Again, I almost realistically, it's why I hunted the Basilisk in the first round that I had a attack card for. Yes, could I waited to try to find you? It's like, sure, but there's a threat here. The chances I'm finding and getting my cards into the right spot are limited.
Yeah. Might
as well just do it while I have the chance.
Well, I mean, it was a good decision, too, because summons can be disgusting if they just run rampant. So, yeah, I'm very curious what their expansions are bringing, because it's like maybe, this game's been out for, I guess
a year.
Not even a year. But enough to hopefully get some feedback to streamline it, or, it is pretty streamlined, so I don't know what they're adding. I'd have to take a look to see if it's like, oh, okay, that's something that Zach was mentioning that he didn't like. Now it's being implemented.
Sure.
I will say, I never feel tension when I'm not the one hiding.
Really?
No, not even a little. Even if I'm like if I know exactly where they're at, then I'm actually disappointed. Then I'm like, oh, I found you? You suck. Because, why would it? It's like, okay, well, this is where you're at. This is where you're going. You can't really do much because it's all 4 of our turns. So, and then if it's the opposite, if I have no idea where you're at, then it's just, I'm just defeated. And I'm like, well, okay, I can't find you. I don't care. So, and I've played so many, I played Sniper Elite. That was one of the new hidden movement games. Didn't like it. Then Mind Management, that everyone loves. I didn't like it. And then now this one. So, 3 hidden movement games within the year. And this is the first one that I was like, I actually enjoyed. Maybe the theme plays a huge part into it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I realized that it was the end of the night, of the second night, that I was like, oh, I get to start. Hopefully I get some attack cards. But whenever you guys dealt 3 damage, I'm like, shit, I might die. Or whenever I moved north and went around and you were like, oh, okay, he moved 4 spaces, that's probably what it did. It's like, shit. So while I wasn't sitting here going, fuck, like, how do I get out of this? I was still like, I might lose. Damn it. So, I guess it just depends on what you want. It sounds like hidden movement games, you want basically imperfect information that Whitehall gives. There's not much to the game except, how well... I guess kind of, and this is just a hidden movement aspect, that is how lucky the one searching can get on the first go. Because they have to basically get you on the first go to have that cat and mouse at the very beginning. Whitechapel is the exact same way. If they have no idea by the end of the first night, second night's going to be real rough.
Right.
And Fear of Dracula, if they don't nail you down with Mina's ability, like in the first couple regions, it's going to be real rough. Because then it's like, oh, you thought I was in Europe? Ha ha! Well, I guess the whole thing is Europe. You thought I was in that section? Well, I wasn't. Now I am. Right. And that's just kind of a problem that I don't know how you fix. And I'm not saying this game fixes it. I'm just saying different strokes, different folks. But I mean, at the end of the day, we still gave it the same rating.
Yeah.
I even if they modified the action movement with I think it's Shattered Isles is the new expansion. I couldn't see this going above an 8. I could see this getting up to an 8.
I don't see it going to an 8 for me.
Well, I guess I'll just never play it with you. But that would be the highest I can probably give it. They'd have to really just all of a sudden wow me.
Yeah.
With it. I also, this is kind of a design decision. The order, like the phases, the dawn, day, and night phase, I don't like that it's on the board, but I also do like that it's on the board because it's a nice quick reference. But it's just kind of distracting. It's a lot of text.
Yeah, it's a lot of text.
That's just kind of there. That, like, it's like I get what they're doing. Like, Pandemic has that word, but it's like here, and it's like 3 things. Yeah,
it's literally 4 lines.
Yeah, that's it. This is like the rule book on the side. But yeah, I think there is some unique stuff that they could do to kind of because I know we keep referencing these other hidden movement games, but you almost got to lump them all in together and compare. In the expansion to Whitechapel, the Deer Boss expansion, it's a modular expansion that gives is Jack winning too much? Give the players this.
Sure.
Are the players winning too much? Give Jack this. And there's a bunch of those that do add player abilities and very specific, like prostitute. Like, oh, hey, if I kill this one, I get this ability. I think they can do a little bit more with that.
Yeah.
They have the items and they have the talents. I love the trap concept. I think that's really cool. However, I think it's very restrictive by making it... Thematically, put it in a location. Hey, we set this trap in the woods. Yeah, okay. But if I just never reveal myself in there, then it's never going off. It's like, okay, I guess that's there.
Sure.
But I guess you can have multiple in each zone.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what they're going to add. But out of all the most recent hidden movement games I've played that have come out recently, this is the one I've liked the most. So that's a win in and of itself.
Yeah.
I think that's it. 7s from both of us on Beast. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.